Romance is something which is very, very close to my
क्या
heart.
बात सीरियसली
Yeah, hardcore.
वो तो रेसिपी में आज पूछने वाला हूँ आपसे
I was in love with this beautiful girl. Oh, lead her down. Hey, udi, udi, udi.
Yeah.
So there was that. Hey, you know,
Yeah.
it was my first collaboration with Rahman. Hi, this is Adnan Sami, and you're watching Bollywood Hungama.
Tell me that when are you coming back with something which is as exciting as you've done in the past?
Well, it's been a bit of a gap, but I'm all set to release my new album, which I've been working on and quite excited about, actually.
Yeah.
It should be ready for release in the first week of January.
Okay.
And, you know, sometimes you need to sort of take a little bit of a, I know it's been a bit of a gap, but I think sometimes it's important to take that gap and just sort of refuel a bit, you know. So many years have gone by. I mean, I'm in my 25th year in the music business.
Right.
So I did that, and then started recording the new album, and it's been very exciting. I mean, you know, the most important thing was that that old feeling that of excitement that I was missing a little bit because of maybe getting too much into the rut of things was back, you know, and so I really enjoyed the entire process, and so I hope you'll enjoy it. And in this particular album, I've attempted a Sufi track, which is a very important track in the album. It's called Ali Ali, and done a Punjabi song in this, a fun Punjabi song in the album. Then, of course, romance is something which is very, very close to my heart.
Seriously?
Yeah, hardcore.
वो तो रेसिपी में आज पूछने वाला हूँ आपसे
So there's a lot of romance in the album, and there's a lot of masti in the album, a lot of fun songs, a lot of tongue-in-cheek kind of songs.
Something about the romance when it comes to Adnan Sami. You know, even when you were not so slim, even
when
then,
I was pretty big.
Even then, when you were just romancing the likes of Rani Mukherjee and Mahima Chaudhary and Tia Mirza and Yana Gupta, you know, it looked very convincing. You know, the way you just emote and the way you just communicating through your expression and all is something that it's very convincing. Yes, that these girls are, if they're flipping over this guy, then yes, kuch to baat matlab hai such. Tell us about that raz, in fact, that jadoo, in fact. How do you create that?
Being in love and being romantic has got nothing to do with the physicality of how big or small you are. I mean, if you're obese, doesn't mean that you don't have a heart. And
I'm saying about perceptions that people have.
You see, the thing is that the perceptions are extremely colored, regardless of what they are, what their size is, what their creed is, what their caste is. Love is a universal concept, and everyone is entitled to it. It's just that on the screen, not many people have attempted it with the kind of size that I had, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
And the thing was that I attempted it,
and that will look so convincing.
Yeah, because the point is that, I mean, regardless, the point is that I was that huge guy. That did not mean that I could not love with the same intensity.
Sure.
I was very unapologetic about my size because I felt that I had as much right to love someone as anybody else, and the cliches or the stereotypes that people may have had or have even today in their minds is primarily due to the marketing that they are subjected to by the companies that are trying to sell the products of films or whatever. But the truth of the matter is that your average man and the average woman or girl or boy, they come from very, very normal backgrounds, and everyone is entitled to love, and love with the same conviction. So when I was in front of the camera, I was in love with this beautiful girl, on the screen, and I may have not had the stereotype, typical visual of a person in love, but I had other attributes through which I was wooing her. I was wooing her through my voice.
Right.
I was wooing her through my music.
Another song which I think it came in a movie called Jogger Spark, Ishq Hota Nahin. I still remember that song was a big hit at that point of time. The movie was appreciated because I think Jogger Spark was one of the first few films which heralded the so-called multiplex films. In fact, that era of multiplex cinema is how it is referred to in Bollywood these days. Ishq Hota Nahin, I was talking about Sufi song. I think that song is very Sufi in its element. That spiritual element is there in that song.
Sufism in general, I mean, there's it's such a deep philosophy behind it, in the sense that there's so much of romance in Sufism, and it depends on how you interpret it. It depends on how you interpret the lyrics, and you're absolutely right. I think Jogger Spark has got, Ishq Hota Nahin has got that element, and I really enjoy singing that in concert.
Ishq hota nahin,
Jenny, suno.
sabhi ke liye ye bana hai, ye bana hai, ye bana hai, ye bana hai, किसी किसी के लिए.
उड़ी उड़ी, that is your number from Satya. मतलब बिल्कुल डूब के आपने एकदम रोमांस में आपने वो गाना आपने गाया है, and I think beautiful song that stays with you as well. A.R. Rahman.
Yeah, it was my first collaboration with Rahman. And when the song was given to me, I gave it whatever my interpretations were to it. In fact, I had a bit of a slight hoarse throat that evening when I was recording, and I told Rahman, I said, maybe you want to do this tomorrow. He said, you know what? It's working for the song. so
the texture is different.
Yeah, the texture was working for the song, and so there was that big gliding that was going on. Hey!
Yeah.
And now the thing is, when my voice is absolutely fine, now I have to actually recreate that whenever I'm singing it live, because normally if it would have been hey,
yeah, that's true.
But I sang it in the recording as hey,
yeah.
So there was that hey,
yeah,
but it worked, and it became a trademark for the song.
One more song that I have, मेरी फरमाइश पे आपके लिए is Meter Down. The way you used to say Meter Down as well had a style element into it.
I think one of the things that worked for me was the fact that while I was growing up, I listened to a lot of rock and roll and a lot of R&B, traditional R&B. I heard a lot of great singers like Aretha Franklin and who for example they would suddenly do this roll in their voice, which create a certain raw energy. Like for example, there would be down. That grunge, and that was stuff that I grew up listening to a lot of such singers, and You know, so when I was singing the song, it just sort of came naturally to me when I was you know, that sudden
Transformation.
that
fact.
transformation would come in. That
Finally, last question that I have for you is, as I mentioned in the beginning, that when I was seeing you just play the piano, you know, the final portions you actually sang it like in a santoor manner. Is it a fair assessment? Because I think you've learned santoor from Shiv Kumar Sharma ji, and
That's right.
it feels like that you are actually, and even the sounds भी जो आ रही थी वो कुछ हद तक they were santoor like in fact.
Yeah, the thing is that when I started playing Indian classical music on the piano, and when I did the research of the piano and the santoor come from the same musical family. So that's why I went to Pandit Shiv Kumar Sharma ji and wanted to learn Indian classical music from him, because you know, he being the father of the santoor, I wanted his guidance and then use the education that I got from him and incorporate it onto the piano. And so therefore, when I go into that sort of tempo or that zone, the piano does indeed start sounding a lot like the santoor.
Pleasure having you back on
Pleasure is
Bollywood
all
Hungama,
mine.
and we really hope
Absolutely.
that you just recreate that ecstasy for your millions of fans in India as well, because there's a huge I think audience for you in India. You've been performing overseas recently, so we really hope that magic is recreated once again.
Thank
and
you.
looking forward to more stuff from you in the movies as well.
Absolutely.
And
same
that's a huge medium. And thank you very much for being on Bollywood Hungama.
Pleasure as always. Thank you.
That's all from Bollywood Hungama. Keep on watching.